Hello, welcome everybody. We are slowly gonna get started here. It is wonderful to see all of you as you come into our info session today. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. The chat is open, so feel free to state your name, where you're from, where you work. We see wonderful, some wonderful faces in here. Some familiar names too, which is always nice. We love seeing our friends in the audience there too. And as you're, typing in the chat here too, make sure that your settings are set so that you can chat with everyone, not just the hosts and panelists. And the best way for you to do that is that little blue box that says to. You can change that from everyone to hosts and panelists there. So make sure it's selected to everyone so everyone can see who you are and what you're saying. But like I said, we'll slowly get started here. I know some people are still coming into the room. Awesome. Great. Yes, welcome everybody. All right. Welcome. We are going to slowly get started here. Um, awesome. Yay, everyone, keep chatting in the chat here. I love it. It's blowing up. Like I said, it is so wonderful to have you all here. So I'm going to get started now and welcome everybody to our info session on the AI Community Engagement Lab. We are really excited on behalf of the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY, including both the Center for Community Media, and J Plus, which is our professional development training programs at the school. We are really excited to have you here today to tell you a little bit more about this program. So that's what we are going to do. So again, I just want to go over a couple housekeeping things as we get started here. I know we've all used Zoom before, but sometimes the Zoom webinar might be the first time for people. So let me just go through some ground rules for you. Um, we are, like I said, the chat is open, so feel free to introduce yourself in the chat as you come in. It'll be wonderful to see you all and where you're all from. Make sure your settings are set that you can chat with everyone and not just the hosts and panelists. So that's down there. This is an opportunity for you to get all of your questions answered about this program. So if you do have questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A function that is at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions so we can get to them. Please don't use the chat for your questions. We just want to be able to filter them through the Q&A here. So that way we can take a look at them and make sure we get all of your questions answered. But that is open, so you can feel free to submit questions at any point. You don't need to hold them to the end, but we'll get to as many of them as possible as we go through it. And as you can tell, this is being recorded right now, so we will share the recording and the slides again afterwards, so that way you can take a look at any information that you might have missed or you want to revisit to just take a look at before you submit your application, which you should do here soon. All right, we're gonna get started here. I'm just gonna quickly introduce myself as the person who's been talking your ear off already. My name is Kyle Plants. I am the senior program manager of our J Plus team at our again, that is our professional development training programs at the school. I'm very excited to work on this program, and I'll pass it over to my colleague Mikael, who will introduce himself.
Thanks, Kyle. My name is Mikhail Simmons. I'm the Executive Director for the Center of Community Media. The mission of CCM, as we call it, is to serve news organizations that provide essential local coverage for populations whose voices and issues are underrepresented. So we're talking about small, independent, non-corporate community media outlets. The center serves as a hub for information, resources, and training aimed at increasing the sustainability of this news sector, and we're proud to be partnering with J Plus on this program.
Yes, and we're so excited to work with CCM. They're one of our favorite partners. What we're going to do today, just to quickly go over our agenda, we'll be talking about the program in more detail so that you know what it's all about. We'll talk about what is this for you? You know, is this the program that you should be doing? We'll go through the program schedule and what that looks like, the timeline and everything, and then most importantly, how do you complete your application? How do you decide that this is what you want to be doing here? Again, use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions at any time during this presentation. We'll make sure that we get to all of them. So thank you all again so much for being here. To start with, I'm going to go through the timeline and I'm going to pass it over to Mikhail to talk more about the program in detail. But just to quickly go through all of this, applications are already open for the AI Community Engagement Lab. So please make sure that you take a look at the application, everything that you need to submit, and make sure that you submit your application by December 6th. That is the deadline for this program. So you still have a couple weeks to fine tune it, make sure your answers are good to go before you fully submit it. So yes, please take a look at that before you submit your application by the deadline. We will have an in-person kickoff, which we'll tell you a little bit more about. Super exciting, at the school in New York City on Monday, March 17th and Tuesday, March 18th. Again, I'll tell you a little bit more about that here shortly, but very excited to kick off the program in March. Then we'll have some bi-weekly classes and coaching throughout the program here that will take place between April and October of next year, 2025. There is a summer break. So, during that time between July and August, there will be no classes. There won't be any coaching during that time, but you will be working on projects. Again, I'll tell you a little bit more about that, which is going to be really exciting. But you'll be back in your newsroom working on your things and continuing your projects there. And then we'll come back together in September to continue classes. We'll wrap up our program there and we'll do final presentations in October, which is really exciting. So again, 6-month program. Here's the timeline for you. All right, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to pass it over to my friend, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about the program.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please put it into the Q&A. We're going to get into some more details. So add the questions while I'm chatting, and we will get back to it when we have the proper session. So here's the overview of the AI Community Engagement Lab. If you want to see it quicker, you can say ACE Lab, ACE. We're very proud of that acronym. So feel free to throw it in there. It's a 6-month tuition-free program thanks to the Walton Family Foundation. As Kyle mentioned, there will be a 2-day in-person kickoff in New York City, and there'll be bi-weekly 2-hour Zoom classes for this program. There'll be coaching sessions with experts, and the final project to this work you implement with this organization through your organization. So really think about this program as an opportunity to really implement a program you may have in mind, or just experiment with an idea that you want to test out with the best case scenario. We want to have at least or about 15 to 20 community journalists, specifically from the United States. So I'm sorry for those of you who are outside of the US, but when we say the United States in this case, we mean continental US, Puerto Rico, and the US territories. We have some outcomes we would like to get through this program. The focus is using AI tools to enhance community engagement and audience interaction. I want to be clear. We mean this in the broadest sense. So don't just think about it from a, say, social media point of view. Think about engagement in many different ways, where it could be newsletters, it can be IRL in real life, but really come with your ideas and really send them to us in the application. As I mentioned before, this is for journalists, reporters, editors, and leaders in the United States, Puerto Rico, and US territories. And the goal is to identify the best tools matched to what you want to do. So it could be around data analytics, editorial, business, but it really has to be tied to engagement. We want to help newsrooms and participants gain confidence using AI tools, thinking about it ethically and also effectively. We want you to achieve a sense of comfort using this when it comes to workflows, data analysis, story ideas, and marketing material, and much more. Again, really think of this as a space where you could try your ideas with experts and structure and really say, hey, is this for me, and how can I tweak it moving forward? Here's a quick idea of the curriculum we'll be executing next year. Um, we'll be thinking about AI when it comes to transcripts and translations. We'll be thinking about just engagement 101. We'll be talking about visual AI. Um, will it be creating like data analytics or data visualizations or images? We'll be talking about audience research. We'll talk about marketing and business. But most importantly, we'll also be talking about ethics and risk management. We really wanted this program to be holistic, so it's not just saying you will be able to do this, but you'll be thinking about this on a deeper level as well. Kyle, I think it's back to you.
Yes, thank you so much. My wonderful colleague Emma has dropped the webpage for this program in the chat here. So all of the information that Mikhail just shared is on our webpage too. So if you want to dive deeper into those questions and everything, you can totally do that on our website. Now, I know you probably have some questions about coaching and final projects and all of this stuff. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. So the point as you go through the classes that Mikhail just mentioned, you're going through the curriculum here. It's really important for us for you to be able to identify an AI-driven community engagement challenge that you want to address. This should be something that is important to both you as a community journalist, but also to your organization. Think of it as an opportunity, as a way to engage with your audiences using AI, or it is it's a challenge or potential solution for work that you are doing. So you'll have group and one-on-one coaching throughout this program with an experienced coach, someone out in the field who is doing this work that can help guide you throughout this process. They're there to help troubleshoot, give you feedback as you work on your project. They're really meant to be a guide and a resource as you kind of go through this process. And what I really like about the group coaching aspect of it too is that you will also be with other cohort members in those sessions. So you get to get that feedback from the cohort. You also get to give that feedback as well. It's really a great time for knowledge sharing and collaboration. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what the heck kind of project can I do? What does that look like? What do I have to turn in at the end of this program? Well, let me tell you, it varies, and I know that's vague, but the point is that there's no one size solution or one way that you can approach this project there. And we love to keep it very open-ended for you, so that way you can work on a project that makes sense for you and your organization. So that can come as, a slide deck that you are going to present to your board of directors as a way to get them, the buy-in that this is something that you should do. It could be, a document because you're working on a policy or you're a blueprint, a roadmap. It could be videos, a prototype of some kind that you are then going to test and, launch into the world there. It really is open to you. And we will, talk more as the program gets started on what you have to do, how you turn it in, all of those things that we're looking for in there. But the format it can vary. At the end of the program, the most important thing is that you will be presenting your final projects to the cohort, to each other there, in just a quick 5-minute presentation. I don't want people to get, nervous or anything about that. The reason being that we do this is think of it as a pitch. You're pitching to your audience, you're pitching to your community, you're pitching to your newsroom about why this project is important or why they should, participate in it. You'll talk about what you learned in the program, what you were able to accomplish through this program. And importantly, it's a 6-month program. So we are not expecting people to, fully launch products or build something from scratch during this time. How are you going to go back into your news organization and implement the work that you just did? And so that's what we want to hear about in your presentation there. Again, I'm sure you're asking, what are the kinds of projects and things that you're looking for? Again, very open-ended. We want it to be specific and unique to the work that you are doing in your community. So things can be a plan or roadmap on how you're going to deploy AI to interact with your audience in your newsrooms. Maybe it's a quiz. Maybe it's a way for them to interact with a chatbot on your website. Totally open. It's really, whatever you think makes sense for you. It can be different experiments using this particular AI tool that you as a way to increase engagement with, certain audiences. So again, we keep it very open because we know that you're all coming from different types of newsrooms, different priorities, and so we want you to work on something that is important to you. I know we're all really excited about the in-person kickoff. I am. And so let me tell you a little bit more about it. It is and this picture, by the way, is from one of our in-person kickoffs from an AI journalism lab that we did earlier this year. So it was a really good time. And you too can be in this photo if you apply for this program. So the in-person kickoff for the AI Community Engagement Lab will take place again at the Newmark J School in New York City on Monday, March 17th, and Tuesday, March 18th. So that'll be 2 full days of really exciting content, and we really get to kickstart our classes here. So we'll, have an opportunity for you to meet each other. You'll get to know the cohort very well. We'll also provide some foundational classes, and talking about what does AI look like in news organizations right now? How are they using it? You'll get your hands wet and dirty with a little bit of tools. So we'll play with ChatGPT. We'll talk about how you build custom GPTs. We'll talk about transcription and translation services. It's a really great time for you to come and, like I said, you'll try your hand at some tools. It's a great way to level set and build that foundation together so that we can go deeper into our classes, in our virtual classes as we continue on throughout the program there. I know traveling to New York can be expensive, and so that is why you will receive a flat rate travel allowance. We're based off of where you're coming from in order to participate in this program. So that'll cover your housing, your hotel accommodation, your travel, as well as some meals and things there too. So that is covered. Now, I know we're talking your ear off, and you're like, "How? Okay, I'm so into this. How do I apply for this program?" Well, in order to apply for this program and to be considered to participate, there's an application that you need to fill out. We will drop that here in the chat for you, so that you can take a look at the application form itself. Basically, there are some demographic questions on there asking about who you are, the newsroom that you come from. We want to know a little bit more about the publication that you're working for and the audience that you serve. Guys, how you're interacting with your audiences right now. We would love to hear a little bit more about it. Then we'll dive into it is an English proficiency is required for this program, as well as there are a couple questions there focused on making sure that you are able to fully commit to the program. So you're able to come to New York City in March for that time. You're able to attend the virtual classes. You're able to participate in the coaching. We just want to make sure that those are the key parts of this program. Then there are several open-ended questions there for you, which is an opportunity for you to reflect and write some thoughtful answers about what you potentially want to work on in this program. So for your final project, there's a question on that. There's a question on what you want to get out of this training, why this training is important to you. So take some time to think about those and write some good answers. My piece of advice for you is you can start writing those in a separate document and fine tune those as you then go to submit your application. But please make sure that you are only keeping those to about 200 words or less. That way you are being succinct and brief, but we also get to the point that we know what you're trying to say there. So please keep it within, a reasonable amount there. And then lastly, we have an opportunity for you to include a resume if you would like, and then information from 2 references who might be able to speak to your experience and work ethic. One of those we encourage should be your supervisor or boss that knows that you are applying and will participate in this program. So that way they know that you are, taking the time from work and, we're working on this and you have their permission for that. So that is what you need in order to apply for this program. Now we're coming up to the Q&A part here shortly, and I do see we have some questions, and I'm really excited to dive into those and answer them. So please keep them coming. You can use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen in order to submit more questions. But again, I just want to highlight here December 6th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Please submit your applications by then. We'd love to see them. You can go to the this bit.ly as well as the link in the chat that was shared earlier to get more information about the program. And if you do have any questions about the program, please feel free to email us. We'd be happy to answer any specific or personal questions that you may have. All right. I know I've been talking everyone's ear off, but we're ready to turn into our Q&A here as well. So we're going to answer some of these questions here in the chat. And let's get started here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen though, so I can see everything and everyone as we go through this. All right. I see a question here about how will I know that my application is improved? And thank you so much for that question because let me tell you a little bit more about the process then. So when you are submit your application, our team will review them and then we'll have an interview period where we will get to know you a little bit better. We'll tell you a little bit more about the program and then see if you have any questions for us. And we anticipate, making those decisions in January then. So you'll expect to hear from us, in mid-January there. We'll keep everyone updated if you've submitted an application on the status of your application. So please, if you do have any questions, you'll be able to email us on that. All right, I answered that question. Let's go. All right. Great question here. I work for a big organization, but I also run my own project focus on local journalism for Hispanic communities. Can I apply? The answer to that, I would say, is yes. We love to put together a very diverse cohort, and that can mean in many ways. One, in terms of diversity of the United States, in terms of race, but also the kinds of communities or the types of communities that we cover. But size of newsroom is one of those too. So whether you work for a bigger organization or you work for a smaller organization, you're an entrepreneur, you're covering a community. That is totally great. Whether you have several employees or not, we're very open to putting people together there. Also, I would also want to say to the type of work that you do. So say you're the founder or you're an editor or you're a reporter or you work on the business side or you're on the marketing side. We would love to see applications from all types of jobs because that's how we think people can learn best from talking to different kinds of people. So great. Thank you so much, Juanita. Okay, let's see here. When the application asks for ideas, are you expecting a fully formed pitch for the project, or can we list areas we're thinking of? Yes, we are not expecting you to have everything figured out here already. That is not realistic. I know you'll just have an idea or a couple of ideas that you want to work on. We just want to get the kind of gist or the idea of what you're potentially thinking. Also, we understand that this program is going to be starting in March. It's November, so that's about 5 months away. Um, Priorities and things shift. By the time that you start this program, your news organization or you might have a different priority that you need to focus on, and that's okay. We just want to kind of get an idea of the things that you're thinking about and that you want to potentially work on. And there's opportunity at the beginning of the program to fine-tune your idea better, to change ideas. We fully anticipate that happening. So yes, it does not need to be fully formed. You don't need to have like a whole timeline in your application there. We just kind of want to hear a little bit about what you are thinking of working on. All right. Let us see here. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure you're submitting them through the Q&A function. I want to make sure I'm getting to all of them here. Yes, my colleague, we will drop the application here in the chat then. So please take a look at that. We'll make sure that you have that as well as it's on the web page there. Thank you so much, Emma. All right. I see a question here on going back and editing an application that has already been submitted. If you have any updates to your application, there's my email address is in the application form itself. So if you do need to make any updates or changes or anything, please feel free to email me. We'd be happy to make those updates to your application. All right. Okay. Mikael, what can you talk to us a little bit more about, I see a question here about the background of a candidate. Can you tell me a little bit more about the types of people we're looking for in this program here?
Sure, not a problem. So, as I mentioned before, this program is specifically for US-based newsrooms and journalists. We wish we could have opened it up internationally to Asia, Latin America, Africa, but for this program, unfortunately, it has to be that narrow this time. The kindness we're looking for, or who this best fits, would be people who work in community media, specifically for community media. So, do you work or report on a local location? So we're talking about a town, a city, a zip code. Do you report on a specific diaspora, saying think about Chinese American diaspora or Haitian diaspora? Are you a one-man band? Are you running a newsletter in a rural town? Do you have a team of five? Do you work with freelancers, or do you work with a staff? Once you do community media in whatever form, this is for you. This is designed specifically for people working in this space, and that is important. So this is not designed for large organizations that have lots of research. This isn't designed for people working necessarily in mainstream context. This is working for really community and local news outlets. You don't have to be prolific in technology. You don't have to be deeply steeped in AI, but you have to be interested in learning and applying this work. The first opening session, as Kyle mentioned, will really have you centered about what AI is, how it's being used in the ecosystem, and some of the questions around ethics and the tools that are being used. So if you're like, hey, I'm a novice, but I really want to learn and I will commit time and effort to dive in to the deep end of the pool, this is also for you. Okay?
Perfect. No, I love that answer. Thank you so much for diving deeper into that. Alrighty, let's see here. A couple quick questions that are coming in that I want to make sure I answer. Again, we will be determining final participants in early mid-January there. So again, we will communicate with everyone that applies on the status of your application. We are also I saw a question here about how many spots. That is, again, about 15 to 20 community journalists that we will be taking into this program there. So that's that. A list of instructors or mentors, or who will be the types of people that we will be leading our sessions there. So we are, still finalizing our curriculum in this way and people teaching our classes, but the people that we work with, again, as I mentioned, are journalists and leaders and AI experts that are out in the field that are currently using this technology and currently engaged in this work. And they come in and share their expertise with us. And the way our classes usually run virtually we'll have it's a mix of lecture, but also we keep it very interactive. We want to make sure that you are applying the lessons that you're learning in the classroom and that you are trying out tools and experimentation. You are also, the things that you're learning in class will do like a proof of concept so that you can kind of get the idea and then you can go back to your organization and, try it out at hand there for you. We make sure that you have your questions and everything are answered with the instructor. So that way you really get that kind of one-on-one interaction with them. And so those are the kinds of instructors, and same with your mentors there too, the coaches. Those will be experts again in this field that are doing this work and working in community media, and that can help guide you throughout this process there. Alrighty here. Ooh, I love this question. I know that this we're offering this program right now in March, and we do hope at some point, and again, this is obviously a very hot topic. This is something that we know journalists and people need training on, and so we would love to be able to offer this again. But so that's why you should sign up for our newsletters. Make sure that you are paying attention to our program announcements so you can see other programs that we have to offer, as well as, if we're able to offer this one again in the future. So make sure you're signed up for our emails. We'll let you know. You'll be the first to know there. Alrighty, let's see here. Great. I'm seeing a question through the chat. Thank you all so much again for all of these questions. Please feel free to submit more of your questions through the Q&A function here. We'll get to as many of them as possible here. Now, for projects, let's for our projects, there's a question in here about the kind of support if you have technical resources or support that you need throughout the program. So it depends on, again, I think the whole of the kind of project that you're working on. The point is that you can, whether you have that on your team, whether you can rely on, potential other cohort members for advice. Your coach is there to be your support in getting through this, and they might be able to help connect you to other people or other resources in order to do them. But we also, depending on your specific situation, as you're working on your project during this program there, we're able to help kind of connect and make sure that you have the support needed in order to work on your project there. So we'll make sure we did that. Alrighty. Um, Lots of great questions in here. Mikael, can we talk about talking about journalists, this question on journalists, what if they're freelancers or how, they might be working, they might be an entrepreneur or, a one-man band kind of here. So tell me a little bit more about the kinds of people for that.
Sure. So we could think about the freelancers versus one man band, and I know it's a Venn diagram. But if you run your own outlet, and I say outlet loosely, right? Again, you could really be a newsletter. You could really be doing your work for a community based in social media in that way. But once you're doing reporting for a specific community, this is program for you. So when we say running your own shop, that's what we mean. If you're a freelancer, and you're attached to a newsroom, say you often work with a local community newsroom, then I would say you can apply. In the application, it says, who are your references? And I would say make that clear in the application as well. So you may say, look, I often freelance for this rural radio station in Idaho. Um, I work with them every month. And they gave me permission to come to this program so we could help implement this work in their institution. That works for you as well. What we really want this program to do is not just be useful to a single person, but be useful to an institution, which in turn is useful to the ecosystem overall. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sure there are more nuanced slices or dices there, but that's generally the philosophy we're going with.
Thank you very much. All right. I'm seeing some questions on projects, so I'd like to address those. If you have more than one project in mind, yes, you can put them in your application there. That is totally fine. Again, it is just for us to see what you are potentially thinking about. What are the projects or the ideas that you have that are important to you in your organization? And we want to understand how this training would be able to help you in that way. So totally fine if you have a couple projects in mind there, but just keep in mind the space. Obviously we want to hear about it. So make sure it's not too long in that regard. I had another question here about an example of a project that a participant might engage in with this project. It is again, I talked about this earlier, but it is really open on how you might want to engage your communities or deal with audience engagement with AI. And so, again, some projects might be creating an AI news quiz that your organization has to drum up audience engagement on your website. It could be a chatbot during election time where they can ask questions about local elections or something. It can be, you can be using AI to synthesize audience research that you have collected and being able to glean insights from them in order to make decisions about what your audience wants and needs are. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach this project there. That's why we keep it open-ended so that you can really think about what's going to be important for you and your organization. I'd
Kyle,
like,
can I jump in here as well,
yes,
pretty quickly?
please, please, please. I'd love to hear your ideas.
Yeah, so and there are a lot of outlets applying AI in different ways right now, whether it be data visualization, as I mentioned before, or translations or audio transcripts of community board meetings with summaries and things of that nature. But I would say this though, when it comes to almost any piece of technology, the smallest outlets, the most independent outlets are the ones who are most innovative and most nimble. So you may come up with a project idea that no one else has been doing or been able to scale. So when we say, hey, there's not an ideal specific type of project, it's because you all are thinking differently than the industry, and that's a good thing. And the industry can definitely learn from whatever you come up with as well.
Mhm. Definitely. Thank you so much for that. Question on coaching. There will be the coaching that you will spend during a one-on-one session will be about an hour. So that's usually the group coaching circles, and the your one-on-one will be for an hour there. And we provide more details about what you should talk about or cover in those sessions there. But they're meant to be there for you as again as a resource, a guide. They also can take a look at any materials in advance if you want. They'll also work with you on your presentation at the end. One of the sessions will be for you to bring your draft presentation so you can present to them. They'll give you feedback and you can go back and incorporate all of that. So that's a little bit more about the coaching session. Alrighty. So many good questions here. Thank you all so much. Yes, I'm seeing a question about we will be sharing more details, obviously, about what the kickoff will entail and things that you need for that. If you're accepted into the program, we'll share that in advance of the kickoff there. We will be able to share these slides and this recording afterwards. So if you're coming in late, or you have any further questions, you might have missed a question that was asked, you can take a look back at it. And so that's a resource for you. So once you can expect that here later this week or early next week to receive that again. All right. I think we have gotten through many of these questions as we can. All right. This was the question that I wanted to when I was talking about projects here, was does the type of project you choose impact your chances of being selected for the program? That question is just one question on the application. Again, it is just to get an idea of what you're thinking about. When reviewing applications, we're looking at yours holistically, and so the project that you put there, again, we anticipate for them to change, adjust. They might pivot there, so you're not beholden to it, and we're not judging exclusively on your project there. So, take some time to think about it, but please do not stress about the project that you are putting on in there. Once you have applied for this program, you should receive an email confirmation with your application responses in there too. So again, that was what I mentioned earlier. If you have any questions or updates, or you accidentally put something in your application that shouldn't have been there, just email us. We'll be able to update your application there for you. So once you've applied, you can take a look at you'll get a copy of your responses, and then that way you know that you've were successful in your applying there. All right. I do think we've gotten through a lot of our questions here, which is fantastic. I do just wanted to thank everybody again for being here. It has been a wonderful to see you all and see some wonderful faces and some familiar names and some new names. It is really fantastic. Again, we'll be sharing the slides and the recording out soon, so stay in touch with that. If you have any questions about anything, you have a personal question as well about your situation, please feel free to email us. We'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about that. But I do just want to thank you again. We're dropping the application link here in the chat. Take your time with it. December 6th, deadline. Keep that in your brain. So make sure you get that in beforehand. That would be fantastic. And again, thank you all so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.